Pandeism confirms something we know in our hearts to be true, even if small-minded religions deny it. Our destiny, the destiny of mankind, is in the stars.
As the dawn of the 2010 decade approached, science quietly delivered a message, one that will build in realization, until it reverberates with a boom forever into the future. We are now able to identify Earth-sized planets, orbiting distant stars, in orbits that would make them able to carry liquid water, thus imbuing them with the potential to develop life, or at the least to be made habitable for humans.
This scientific find gives us hope that we may literally reach for the stars, but it brings profound and awesome religious implications as well.
There are those out there, in certain faiths, who eagerly await not the day of our expansion into new worlds, but the end of this world. These so-called end-timers exist in several religions. In the Abrahamic faiths, they tend to believe that the world is only 6,000 to 10,000 years old, and, at the same time, that 1,000 years is like a day to their God, all straight from their primitive religion books. And yet, these end-timers have been insisting that the end is coming right upon us. Although, to be fair, they've been insisting that daily, and twice on Sundays for thousands of years now.
So, doesn't it seem odd that after infinite billions of infinities, apparently spent waiting around and doing nothing, such a God would suddenly create a universe, have the whole thing exist for an eye blink, and then just as suddenly have an Armageddon, and go back to the humdrum of no universe for billions of infinities?
This seems to be so, even if this God would thereafter be surrounded by fawning souls, bereft of any desire but to fawn.
With our technological developments and the recent discovery of other possibly habitable worlds, we're just starting to get interesting. Even the sort of person who believes in a purposelessly piecemeal creation should have a hard time thinking that any God created habitable planets which, at least according to theoretical physics, we could very much reach and populate, and yet this same God intended to end our days before we did what those worlds are designed to have us do. If we were expected to fail before being able to reach those worlds, such a creator would know that in advance, and wouldn't bother to create those other habitable worlds, which we might otherwise get to in a few hundred, at most a few thousand years, another eye blink to such a being.
Even if scriptural accounts foisted by end-timers were true accounts of creation, it makes no sense that such a creator would end things now, at a time that would for that being be moments after creation. That would be like lining up world-class marathon runners to run a 50-millimeter dash. Since physics itself keeps telling us of a universe that is billions, rather than thousands of years old, shouldn't we be looking towards a future that is also billions of years to come, instead of ending in thousands of years, or hundreds, or next Tuesday?
So it must be. We are meant to reach those other habitable worlds out there, just now coming onto our horizon, and because of this, the next few thousand years of human development will be particularly interesting to observe, and even be a part of. Even the end-timer should now, finally, acknowledge that those lights in the sky are not angels or lesser gods or holes in a great dome, but are instead stars orbited by detectable planets, which we must be intended to occupy.